What is up, guys? Frugal BC. Got an interesting live show for you today. Got one main objective that I want to do today. My one main objective is I want to go through the Solana video that I found, and I want to talk about what's wrong with it. So I'm actually going to defend Solana today, which is super interesting because I don't think I've ever had much reason to defend Solana before, but I saw this video and maybe kind of go down a rabbit hole and do a little bit of research. And what I found was very, very different than what the video was saying. So the video was from Crypto Jeb, who generally seems like a pretty reasonable guy, but his videos today seems kind of crazy. So we'll go through that. We'll look at that, see what's up with that, and we'll talk about some other crazy news. By the way, I'm announcing that I am starting a Discord. In fact, I've started it. I'm kind of working on it. I'll be sharing it soon once I get kind of the structure in place. A lot going on, for me these days. So don't expect it too soon, but I just want to make sure I got the format right. And what I want it to be is both a place for my community to kind of congregate in general, and then I want it also to be a space in there where people can. So some people can call in people from like projects, or like John Allen Woods if he wants to, or the new CMO of Algorand, or whoever. But I kind of want to make it so I can wall it off a little, so like only people that I let in can actually call into the show. And I might eventually add that as a feature where maybe people in the community can actually call in too if they join the community. So keep an eye out for that. But that's what's going on with our Discord. Yeah, other than that, I'm still kind of I don't want to say off of Twitter, but I'm absolutely using it less. I just completely eliminated it from my phone. So no phone on the no Twitter, no X, whatever you want to call it, is on my phone at all. And also in other news, you may notice I don't really have much of a beard anymore. That's right, I shaved my beard for now. Sometimes I think you just got to start fresh a little bit every once in a while. This isn't really a grooming channel, so I'm not going to talk about that too much, but that's what we got going on. A couple little odds and ends I found too that we can talk about. I don't want to do a super long stream, but then again, I might. Who knows? Why don't we switch over to, by the way, if you haven't already, if you're new to the show, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button and subscribe to the channel. Like button to help show the show to more people. So that's always fun. Always fun to get more people talking about cryptocurrency. And of course, hitting the subscribe button helps the channel grow. And so we're very, very close to 4,000. So if we can help get us over there, I really appreciate that. But anyway, why don't we look at the charts today? I think a lot of people are just depressed. Even though we're technically in greed territory, I don't know. It just seems like sentiment in general, like people just aren't that excited. I mean, it's like barely on the side of greed. Whereas like a couple months ago, we were more on the high end of greed. So I think the fear greed index scale is a very interesting thing to keep in mind also. And yeah, so on the week, we're seeing Bitcoin up. Things have been a little flat in the last couple days, but we had a big pump up recently. I think got a lot of people excited. We had Solana in the 170s. We had Bitcoin is not that far off from where it peaked out a little bit. And when I say peak out, I mean just from a little while ago. On the week, we got Ethereum climbing back over 3,000, Solana at 168, 169, basically. And let's see, do we have any outliers on the 24-hour? Yeah, something like Bonk, or look at Chainlink at 17. That's pretty cool. But not a huge run up on the day, but on the week it's actually up 25%, which is pretty good. We'll look at that in a second. Bitcoin Cash, oddly enough, are there a lot of people using Bitcoin Cash? I think, was that one of the ones that was the zombie chain? I think it might have been. I think so. By the way, guys, how does it sound? I've taken a few steps to try to improve the sound a little bit. I got some comments about that, so if you think the sound is good or bad or somewhere in between, let me know. Basically, I moved it at a different angle and a little bit closer to my face while still keeping it almost off screen. Actually, yeah, it's just on the very bottom. That's fine. Yeah, but let me know in the chat what you think. Anyway, let's keep going. So that's sort of the top. Who's done badly? Starknet, Celestia, Athena, DYDX, and Neo in the top 5. Bad for the week. How about for the day? Actually, Chainlink is the top performer on the week, so good for Chainlink. I've got a little bag of Chainlink. I had a bigger one. I moved it into some other stuff, and that wasn't smart. Followed by Phantom and then Solana. Solana has been a real price mover, which is going to make our video today very, very interesting. Followed by Ondo. I haven't seen that one before, so that's interesting. Floki. I've been making fun of Floki because I've been not making fun of it that badly, but just the fact that these meme coins seem to pump. And the more I get into crypto, the more I realize price is really dictated by two things. One is just macro conditions and the fact that where we are in the 4 years Bitcoin cycle, that's a big factor. And then its volatility within that cycle seems to be dictated by vibes. And that's the best I can see. And I'm going to show you why. Yet another thing that people says matters really doesn't seem to. And that's what our Solana talk is going to be about. The video is really short too, by the way, so don't worry about that. Bitcoin Cash is also doing well in the week. Near Protocol. So this is another one that does really well, and if I recall, doesn't this one have the same? Is that one of the unlimited ones? Okay. And then who did really bad on the week? Let's take a look at that. Yeah, WorldCoin. WorldCoin's actually in the top 80. So this is like the crazy Sam Altman one, right? Where you have to scan your eye at one of the orbs around the world or some stuff, some nonsense. Yeah, dog with hat not doing so well. So maybe my meme coin thesis is going to be destroyed too. That Athena one, yeah, not so good. Starknet, Wormhole, Toncoin. Yeah, Render. Look at Render. I just made a video. I actually had video Render as the title of my video the other day. Well, let's switch over here to Algorand. This is not looking great. This is one of the ones that's down. It's not one of the worst, but I thought this was really interesting because I saw a video earlier in the week from AJ Writes Crypto, and it was a little snippet on Twitter. And I'm pretty sure he said that if Algorand got to around this price point, because I think he was pointing to this as sort of the line of resistance, that if it got past that, it was going to shoot to 22 cents. And clearly that didn't happen. It actually went the other way. But maybe it was a little bit higher, and the whole thesis was, oh, well, it didn't get to here, so it went down. I tell you, I think technical analysis is worthless, and the only thing I've ever seen, and I don't know why. Oh, here it's going to let me. Okay. The only thing I've tried out that I thought was worthwhile. Oops, hold on. This is something I saw a trader talk about. And what he talked about is when the RSI hits these really low levels and the coin is on the bottom of the Bollinger Band, it'll tend to rise to the top of the Bollinger Band on the 4-hour chart. So I've actually done some experiments with this, and it does seem to work, generally speaking. The problem is, like, a lot of times the movements are so low that you need like pretty high volume to actually make money. So like I made positive trades, but they were so low that it was almost meaningless. Um, I suppose over time it would do well, just because it costs you so much to make these trades. So like you really have to have a lot of money into these trades for them to actually matter at all. But it did seem to work pretty reliably. It's just kind of hard to tell the timing, like, right? Like if you bought down here and you were like, well, how long is this going to take? And then it did go up eventually. And then as it hits the top, it kind of starts popping back down. But you can also see like it's not always super reliable, right? But when it is this low, you can make these predictions. We should do like a little experiment series on this. This would be really interesting, I think. But yeah, if you watch this, if this tends to get into this 30 range, and I think he said below 40, I think is what he said. But generally when it's really, really low and it's just touching this line down here, I'd say anything between 40, 30 and 40, and you see it toward the bottom of the Bollinger Band, it's probably gonna pop back up. So we can do some kind of experiment with that. I think that's interesting. Um, let's see. I'm popular on the popular charts on ASAs. And you know how I feel about ASAs. I'm just not a big fan of them. Something called Golden Billions, Golden Billion of Vault Tech, Algo EFT. There's always a bunch of ETF. Sorry, there's always a bunch on here that I've never heard of. I don't check these super often, and I notice whenever I do now, it's like there's a whole bunch of new ASAs that I haven't heard of. The reason I generally tell people to stay away from ASAs is they're so volatile, and it's usually to the downside. What happens is these come up, these are released, they shoot up in value because everyone's excited about the new coin. Then they drop like a rock, and then they just kind of level off, and that's what most of them do, except for maybe some of these top coins. Let's look at Opulus once. This is crazy. It's crazy, by the way, that this is still where it is because Opulus just effectively lost. It just left Algorand and it hasn't really been back. Okay, here's 1 year. Now this one had a spike up. I don't remember what caused that spike. So they will sometimes. But here's more typical. Here's what I'm talking about. This is the ASA. This is the very typical ASA curve. Big jump up in the beginning, and then a big, huge crash. And so I'm not giving you this advice, but one kind of wonders if it wouldn't be a great strategy when a brand new coin is introduced, get it initially, ride that pump up, sell it off, and then forget about it. But maybe that's a lot of people are doing because this is such a typical ASA curve. This is random little spike here back in April of 2022, but otherwise, this is what they do. They spike up and then they come back down and then they're flat. This is such a typical ASA curve. It shows what I'm talking about because I chose Opulus at random, and Opulus is one of the more popular coins. That's what's really funny about this. So I think that's very interesting. Got some people in the chat. I think I fixed my focus issues, by the way, because this is pretty sharp. It helps that I'm kind of centered on this, and also using the manual focus with autofocus assist seems to be an ideal video setting that I can also use when I actually use my camera as a camera, which is often. Jeffrey says, greetings from Maine. Well, hello, Jeffrey. Welcome to the show. Good to see you, buddy. And he's putting up them oranges. What is Aura doing? I want to check. Hold on. Let me find it here. And then I participated in Aura. I'm going to show this really quick here. Speaking of the ASA curve, I mean, this is one of the worst versions that I've ever seen. And yeah, I actually paid, I think, more than this. Well, this isn't dollars. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't remember how many algo I burned just to make one of these stupid oranges, but that was for the show. It was for the show. We did it on the live stream, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, this is a really typical ASA curve. So you guys wonder when I say stay away from ASAs, generally, this is why. So I just want to show you guys that anyway. Jeffrey also says, did you get rid of that Mac for PC yet? That is on my long range capital improvement plan. I don't know when I'm going to get one of those. This Mac actually works all right, but it's still a little slow, even if I play something like Factorio, it's lags a little bit, but it's not too bad. But yeah, I do want to eventually I just want to get a PC set up because there's just too much. They've just put too much in front of you and what you want to do. It used to not be that. Macs were great. Back in the day, Macs were awesome. They had this like peak where they were just perfect, and now they're getting worse and worse. I'm not necessarily saying it's correlated, but it seemed around the time that Steve Jobs passed away, that's when things got bad. So anyway, is this telling me you're subscribed? I wonder if because I've noticed certain icons have a little video screen. Jeff says, nice thing about PCs is you get a fairly nice one for half the cost of Mac. Totally true. Yeah, my nephew. I want my nephew to help me just sort of like pick out what a really good one would be. He's a gamer. He does all the fancy games on it. I've been playing Factorio, and I just downloaded a new game called Mindustry that I saw Destiny playing on stream that I thought looked like a lot of fun. So I thought I'd try that one out. It's free, but you can give him a few bucks for a donation. So I did. Yeah, if you missed it earlier, I am going to have a Discord, so keep an eye out for that. That'll be coming up soon. And I'm going to find this video here for a second, and then I'll sort of talk about why I'm just about got it. Okay, here it is. Okay, so the video I want to talk about in fact, here, I'll just share it on screen. Oops. So I came across this one, and by the way, 2 months ago, this is going to be really funny, and I didn't see this until I made this search. He said Solana to 1,000. Here's exactly why and how. And then 2 months later, he's like, I'm selling all my Solana. I'll say though that actually the two things aren't contradictory, although it kind of seems that way. I know it kind of seems that way, but it's actually not that contradictory when we watch the video. And it's a pretty short one, so and Jeb talks pretty fast, so I don't think I'll actually speed up like I usually do. But yeah, this is a really we're gonna do some math. We're gonna dig into, so we're not gonna just watch the video. We're gonna actually talk about. I'm gonna show you why I think it's kind of silly. His video is kind of silly, but let's watch.
Solana for the long run until this changes. My investment philosophy is first and foremost to beat inflation. I'm selling all of it. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, I'm going to be explaining to you exactly why I am going to be selling all of my Solana. You see, I have discovered something absolutely insane about the way that Solana works from an inflationary standpoint.
By the way, we're gonna see that's not actually that insane, but we'll get there.
You see, we invest in Bitcoin to get away from the inflation of the United States dollar. We invest in the stock market to get away from the inflation of the United States dollar. And you may have thought that you were investing in Solana to get away from inflation, but instead, you have been participating in a system that has lost nearly half of its value in just the last 3.5 years. And
except not really, but we'll see.
Doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the dirty truth of one of my largest cryptocurrency holdings and why I am planning on selling all of it when the time comes. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. Video. But I don't care, because you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Now, to be clear, I'm not going to be selling my Solana right now, but I am going to be cashing out all of it relatively soon, probably in the next 3 to 6 months, as it approaches a new all-time high. And the reason for that is why we're here today. The story starts on CoinMarketCap. You see, right now, Solana trades at roughly $170 and a $76 billion market capitalization. Over the last several months, you guys have seen me compare the price action and the market cap chart on Solana to show you the amount of inflation, but never until a few days ago did I go and actually calculate the inflation rate of Solana, and what I discovered shocked me. When we invest in cryptocurrencies or the stock market or real estate, just about anything, one of our primary reasons for investing is to get away from the inflation of the currency that we would otherwise be holding. Over the last 100 years, the United States dollar has lost over 95% of its value. I just heard about a couple that is trying to sell a $3.8 million property that was bought in the 90s for 190 grand. There's a huge amount of inflation that goes on in the United States dollar, and we're trying to run from that. Never did you think that you would be running to something that could be up to 10 times more inflationary than the dollar, called Solana. You see, I've been telling you guys for a while that over the last 2.5 years, Solana has gone through at least 25% inflation when we calculate the difference between the price action chart here and the market cap chart. On $75 billion in market cap back in 2021, we saw Solana go to $250. Right now, on $75 billion in market cap, Solana's only at $170. Well, I discovered on Masari that I could actually find the circulating supply of Solana over time, even with the free account. This is Masari.io. You simply come up here, type in Solana, hit Solana, then come right.
Okay, we're gonna look at this, and one of the surprising things is that there's no comparisons here. It's like, well, I mean, he talks a little bit. He will talk a little bit about Ethereum and Bitcoin, but he hasn't looked at other coins and their price action, and he didn't compare price action between any of them. So we'll get to that in a second, and I'll show you why that matters.
Right over here to the left and hit the supply button. That'll bring you to this chart, set it to 5 years, and you will see the increasing supply of Solana here, and it is absolutely terrifying. In January of 2021, when Solana was getting started, its circulating supply was 261 million. As it stands right now, its circulating supply is 448 million, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. Numbers such as a 1.5% eventual inflation target have been thrown around by Solana for a very long time. We are nowhere near that. Talks of a 5.6% inflation rate has been thrown around for a very long time. We're nowhere near that. Signs of an 8% inflation rate have been thrown around for a very long time, and we're nowhere near that. No, instead, it's more like 21%. Let me show you. In between the month of January 2021 and the month of May, which is this month, 40 months have passed. 3 years and a third. To calculate the inflation rate of Solana, we simply have to divide 448 million, its current circulating supply, by 261 million, the supply in 2021, while keeping in mind that 40 months elapsed during that time period. When we divide 448.53 divided by 262, the amount of Solana in existence in January of 2021, we can see that Solana has gone through 71% inflation in those 40 months. If we divide a 71% inflation rate over 40 months by 40 months, then that gives us an average inflation rate of 1.775, not per year, per month. Multiplying that number by 12 over the last 40 months, we have seen an average annual inflation rate on Solana north of 20%. This is exactly why I will never hold Solana for the long run until this changes. My investment philosophy is first and foremost to beat inflation. That's like bare minimum, is to beat the United States dollar's inflation. But here's the problem. You also have to factor in the inflation of whatever asset it is that you're investing in. Bitcoin is very much sound money. You don't have very much inflation, if any, on Bitcoin. In fact, over the last 5 years, Bitcoin has gone through roughly 10% inflation. Not in 40 months, in 60 months. It's gone through 10% inflation, whereas in 40 months, Solana went through 70. That's right. The Solana inflation rate has been 10 times higher than Bitcoin's and higher than the United States dollars. Ethereum, on the other hand, has actually become slightly deflationary ever since late September 2022, when a major update came out, leading to a massive amount of burn on the token allocation, which has led to its inflation ceasing entirely. When you invest in an asset, you're first trying to beat the inflation of the individual currency that you're investing in, that being the dollar. Then you have to add on top the inflation of the asset that you're investing in. In Bitcoin's case, that inflation is very low. In the case of Ethereum.
But why? Why does that matter? We're going to, okay, let's get into this. He's pretty much made his argument. So, all right, let's go to Masari. This is what he's talking about. And you guys can follow along. You can do this too. This is all free. You don't have to have that. You go to supply. I tried this for Sui Network. Sui Network does not have supply, but the other ones do. So here's the 1 year. So I thought he picked a kind of a weird period. So I thought, well, let's just look in the past year because we can compare that to price action. So at the very end, it's about 396. Right now it's 448. Let me see my calculator. Change. So he's going to do the math. I'm not. So let me just plug in 448.5. Oops, that'd be the second one. 448.5 and 396. We'll make it easy. 396. Calculate. And yeah, about 13.2%. So that's a really important. Are we on this one? Okay. Really important figure to keep in mind. 13.2%. I'm going to write that down on a little notes file. Just give me a second. So that's the supply inflation, which it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with dollar percent inflation. So I don't really understand the point he's making, but we'll get to that. Because our thought was, well, you know what? Oh, are you kidding me? Okay, hold on. I'm just going to take a little more note of that. 13.2. Solana. Calculated these out beforehand, so okay, let's just do Algorand. We like Algorand, right? So let's do that. We can go to charts. We go to the coin first, we go to the charts, and we go to supply. And I think 1 year is automatically pulled up, is it? Yep. And we have 8.15. Oh, keep taking the second value first. Hold on. 8.15, and then we have 7.24. We'll say 7.2. Calculate it, and oh, we got 13, just under 13.2. So let's and 15.19. Okay. So those are roughly the same. Now, and by the way, these are the ones I chose when I just decided to check this too. Well, how about something with a huge number of coins? Put a hedera here. All right, so our starting amount here is 31 we'll say 31.5. That's pretty close. 31.5, adding it in, and 37.75. We'll say 37.75. And that's 19.8. Oop, here we go. You guys probably want to see that. 19.8. So we're all around that. That one actually is a little bit higher, huh? Let me just check my math. I didn't do anything wrong here. 31.46, 31.5. Yep, 37. So that one actually had a little bit more inflation, right? Okay, so we got 3 coins here. We've got Solana. Here, I'll just go back here. This one looks better. So we got 3 coins. We got Solana at 13.2% inflation, Algorand at 13.19, so almost the same as Solana, and then Hedera at 19.8. Now, let's go back here to our good friend CoinMarketCap. So let's go to Solana. Yeah, what was the question? When am I getting a new PC? All right, here we go. So we are up over that year with this horrible, terrible inflation that's killing our gains. If you invested exactly a year ago, you made 729%. 729% on your money. In other words, it was, where was it? Is this the beginning? Yeah. So it was like $15 and now it's 169. So according to Jeb's argument, right? I was such a fool. I lost all this money due to inflation because the supply went up. What do I care? I just made 729%. That's not only enough to beat a year's worth of standard inflation. That would just about take care of any inflation I would have for the rest of my life. Probably the rest of yours. I don't know how young you are, but I don't think that matters. 729%. Like, how on earth does the supply matter if this is what it's doing? By the way, that was a, let's keep that in mind. This was 13.2% inflation that he's talking about, coin inflation over that year. He went back 40 months, but I'm going back just to make the comparisons easy. Let's just do a year, right? It's 729% up. Okay. I don't give a crap. with the circulating supply inflated. Who cares? The reason that Bitcoin is not inflating as much is that it's reaching the top of its peak. We're getting really close. Ethereum's kind of going backwards. We'll talk about that, but let's look at Algorand next. I'm sorry these take a little while to load up. Well, this one's going. Kind of wish you could cut out all the junk, maybe, but I really just want the chart. We could do comparisons too, but okay. Okay, now this is over 1 year. This is it's up 6% on a year. So if you bought it a year ago, but guess what? You still made up for inflation. Again, the supply inflation, I don't care. It doesn't impact me. Like it doesn't, and it had no effect on price, right? These two, Algorand and Solana, had the exact same inflation, like nearly identical, and they're wildly different by 700% to 6%. Okay. Well, let's look at Hedera. Hedera's was pretty good. Algorand's going to be the worst one. I'll tell you that right up front. So bottom line with Solana is if you put $1,000 in like a year ago, you kept up with inflation and well beyond that. Okay, here's the yearly chart for Hedera, and we are up 110%, almost 111. So again, you're doing just fine keeping up inflation because the only thing that matters is the dollar amount. This stuff doesn't. I don't care because it's not impacting. If it was having such a huge impact on price, remember this one was higher. This was 20%, and it did way better than Algorand. Like we're seeing zero correlation basically between price and dollars. Because under his theory, like it should be worth less. Like I think he's just making some weird conflations here. Because if I'm an investor and a year ago I put in $1,000, I more than made up for that. Like so, where's the if I took out that $1,000 today, it's doubled. It's $2,000. It's more than $2,000 because it's 110%, right? So where did inflation get me? Like there's where's this coin inflation hurting me? I don't see it. Like where would that actually practically hurt me? It just seems like a nonsense position. And then let's look at Ethereum then. See what Ethereum has to say. Now remember, this is the one that's deflating. With some burn mechanisms. There's actually less supply than there was. Oh, we didn't look at that one. I'm sorry. He showed it, but we can look at it really quick. He's right on this part. Even over because he wasn't showing a year. So let's just look over a year, which is what it will come up right away. Yeah, so circulating supply, it's actually down 120 versus 120.11 where it was 120.26. So slightly deflationary, right? Right? What did that do? It's up 69%. So again, not, less than a factor of 10 of Solana. And also, Crypto Jeb, why are you putting me in a position where I have to defend Solana? Why would you do that to me? Because to be clear, I am not a fan of Solana, but I am a fan of its price action. I don't think it works great as a blockchain, but clearly in price action, it works really well. So that just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to say that you're not going to invest something because the inflation is so bad. Well, that would be like almost all altcoins except for Ethereum, but clearly that had no issues. That had no impact on price. Let's see. Jeffrey asks, when Jaws again? Actually, we're talking. He does kind of want to come on, and actually, I want to. I'd like to bring him and Mark, the new CMO, and Actually, it'd be cool if Min came too. It'd be cool if just all three of them are on. I think we could have fun. But maybe we'll do it separately. I don't know. But we actually are. We actually did chat a little bit because actually maybe I'll share that a little later. Disclosure Crypto says could check Gary Network once buddy. It's on Solana. It says Web3 streaming platform on Solana. What's interesting. Well, anyway, so I hope that kind of brings the point home. Like, I think it's super weird it's just a really weird argument, and I don't understand where he's coming from. I tried to really like steelman a case where that would matter, but again, it comes back to where crypto prices are just it's hard to say like the only thing I can see that really influences crypto prices are the 4-year Bitcoin macro cycle, and then volatility within that cycle seems to be mostly vibes and memes. It doesn't seem to be based on fundamentals. The inflation deflationary mechanisms don't really seem to matter at all, as we've seen, as I just showed. But I think it's strange. We keep making these. I keep seeing people like make these arguments, and yet they don't hold up to scrutiny. But I think it's really weird. I think that was one of the weirder arguments I've seen made. So, all right, we're gonna let me look for something else here. Let's see. Shoot, what did they call? What's Algorand call their new podcast? Something random, right? Verifiably random. Yeah. There it is. Oh, they have another one. They just put it on the foundation. They had a second one. Oh, this is the one, I think. Well, let's just go videos. They should be in order here. I think this was the one. Had to be. Oh yeah, here it is. So I think this one is. Wait, let me make sure it's up. No, it's not. Okay, here we go. John kind of explains how Python works in blockchain and why it matters. So let's watch a little bit of this because this was one of the best explanations. This was the explanation I was looking for before, and I think it's almost there. So let's take a look.
Yeah, and so let's talk a little bit more about the pre-Python world on blockchain. We're going to get into use cases as to why you should care a little bit later, but let's maybe start talking about that. Like if you wanted to develop for blockchain before kind of Python arrived, what would it look like? The barriers are pretty significant, aren't they?
Yeah, and so maybe we should take a step back and talk a little bit about what it means to develop apps for a blockchain as a platform and as an operating system versus maybe more traditional platforms like your laptop or your desktop computer. So, when you're learning software engineering in college or school, the first thing they will teach you about is, of course, the basics of how you express business logic in a language, but also to recognize that the things you type, the code you type, doesn't run on the computer directly. Instead, that code where you say, if this, then that, that logic, that code that you write, that gets compiled targeting a particular architecture. And
by the way, I think their podcast is really great. It's surprisingly good. Usually I'm not a fan of company podcasts. I think they come up kind of like cheesy, and it seems like a lot of times I think when companies or organizations come up with a podcast, it's usually like, oh, someone just thinks, hey, podcasts are hot, we should have our own, so let's do one. In this case, and you know that might have been the calculus here too, but I think this combination of these three folks, Min, Mark, and John, I actually think comes out pretty well. So I actually kind of enjoy this. This is the explanation I was looking for. So it's coming.
So, you know, when you write code, you must, before you can run the application on any computer, whether it's a smartphone, a desktop, or indeed a blockchain, you have to compile the code down to what's known as machine language. And this machine language is quite literally ones and zeros that the CPU or the brain of the computer can interpret and process and do instructions upon. And so, you know, when you write that first Hello World app on Windows, and the code is essentially print hello world, before that spits out the words hello world to the screen, you must compile, and then the compiled binary, the ones and zeros, or the machine language code, is run by the computer.
By the way, that's it's like for those that don't understand the reference, like Hello World is sort of like almost universally like the very first program that you write in any language. Like every lesson one is always Hello World because it's usually like set variable equal hello quote hello world quote print variable, you know, whatever. In Python it's pretty simple, in others it's maybe more difficult, but we'll see why that. But yeah, that just so you know, when he's saying this is like the basic level coding program that you'll start. That's like your day one, like every online instruction that you take, that's like the first one.
And so it's actually no different on a blockchain. It's just a bit more constrained. And so maybe just like when you move from a desktop computer down to a cell phone, and you have, you know, not as much memory on a cell phone and not as much compute power on a cell phone, you got to think differently about your app. You can't just brute force your way through things. You know, writing apps for that smaller screen and those smaller resources makes you write apps a little bit differently. Again, we can take one step further on blockchain, and we can say that when you write apps on blockchain, or write apps targeting blockchain, you also have to work within the constraints of the blockchain. Now, blockchains broadly, not speaking about anyone in particular, are very powerful, and they enable classes of application that are just not possible on other platforms. And we can discuss a little bit later, we can get into maybe some of those use cases and why they're important. But just if we take for this moment and we say, if we accept that, okay, if I want to take advantage of these blockchain specific use cases that are only possible if I target blockchain as my platform for my app, one then has to realize that the code I write, the app for the blockchain, which we all call, by the way, a smart contract. A smart contract is an app on blockchain, essentially. That code will have to get compiled down to a low-level machine language that the blockchain understands. And so, continuing with this comparison to phones and to desktops, the Intel chip in your laptop, right? The Core i7, the Core i9, the AMD Ryzen, the ARM chip in your Apple Silicon laptop, the M1, M2 Pro, the M2 Max, these things. Algorand has its own CPU like this. It's called the AVM. And when you write apps on Algorand, you're targeting the AVM. So your code gets compiled down into what's known as bytecode that gets run by the Algorand virtual machine, which is a virtual CPU essentially. And so that's the start of a blockchain journey.
That's like, that really like helped things make a lot of sense for me, because I always wondered, and you know, I've asked a few developers like how this works, and I don't know, I just I never felt like the explanation really helped. But John just really nailed it and explained it well here. I think how that works. That, you know, the AVM is, because I was like, you know, I was familiar with terms like AVM, but it's like, what does that actually mean? So AVM basically is you know, it's a virtual machine that you write code to. So instead of writing to a computer, you're writing it to this virtual machine. That makes a lot of sense.
And then to very quickly answer your question, you know, prior to AlgoKit, which is our product that helps you build, test, and deploy apps on Algorand, and prior to the release of Python for Algorand, so you could write apps just in regular Python, individuals had to go and write very low-level code, very close down to that machine code level, in order to get Algorand to do things. And so that wasn't very much fun, and that's the learning curve I'm talking about.
And that was the case for all blockchains, right? Like if you want to develop on Ethereum, you had to learn Solidity. Like other blockchains have similar kind of more low level type of languages. Is that right?
Yes. So maybe we could explore two that I know quite well because I worked on them. Ethereum has the Ethereum virtual machine, which of course is very, very similar to the Algorand virtual machine. It's just not as fast and not as precise. And Cardano has its own kind of like a virtual machine, kind of like a virtual CPU. It's called the Plutus interpreter, and it runs Lambda calculus or Plutus code. And so, yes, all blockchains have this low-level CPU, and indeed, they have languages that you use to tell it what to do, to run apps, just like we write code on desktop computers. What's interesting, though, maybe, is that Ethereum's been around a long time. It's been around, very popular since 2014, 2015. Okay, and so it's had a long time for its developer tools to mature, just like the iPhone, just like the Android Studio. It's had nearly a decade for those developer tools to get great. And so Ethereum does have its teal equivalent. Okay, there's an Ethereum instruction set, but no one ever really used it. People kind of got to start off in Ethereum using Solidity, which is like JavaScript. And I think that's probably the great advancement in understanding what AlgoKit 2.0 brings to the Algorand platform. AlgoKit 2.0 brings that moment of ease of use. It brings that kind of Solidity level ease. You just have to use regular Python now to build your apps rather than having to write your apps in lower level primitives.
And that just seems like so much easier because a lot of people are already familiar with Python. It's one of the most one of the most used languages, I think, because it's so flexible and simple. Like there's kind of a saying that Python is like the second best language to do just about everything, whether it's data analytics or graphing and it's kind of it's a complicated language because people say, well, it's a scripting language. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, you can write entire code in it too. So I don't know. I'm like definitely not an expert in coding. I am like an amateur at best, barely a hobbyist. I would call my efforts, especially since now Chat GPT makes it so easy. It's almost like why bother? It's well, just the other day, the new Omni is really good. I gave it some data and said, hey, can you make a Python data visualization with this? And it spit it out. Not only did it spit it out, it actually runs it. It actually can now run it in the chat. That is, and I don't know if like regular Chat GPT is doing that because they give you like kind of like you can test it out a little bit. They give you a few iterations and they say, okay, now you can't use it. You can't use the Omni version until, is it Omni? It is Omni, isn't it? The O version, Chat GPT O. Yeah, they can't use it for like a 24-hour period or whatever, but I was just blown away with how powerful it was compared to the previous version. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, was that just the end of it or what?
And so what does it take?
John.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So what does it take for a Python developer to get started? So they download AlgoKit and so can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. It's quite literally 2 lines. You go on your computer and you type, if you're on a Mac, you type brew install AlgoKit. If you're on a Linux box, you type pipx install AlgoKit, you hit enter. It installs just like any other package, just like installing Mozilla, just installing Chrome. It's as easy as that. And then you just go back to your command line, type AlgoKit init, and then that's it. You name your project. It gives you a template. You click play, and then you've got an app running on testnet. It really is that easy. It's really great. It's quite literally as easy as your first app with the iPhone. It's as easy as your first app with an Android phone. AlgoKit init. That's all you got to do. Yeah, Min, what were you going to say?
Yeah.
Before we get to Min, like, should I like try to do this on stream sometime? I think that'd be really interesting. Just actually try to like just live stream my attempt at trying to make an Algorand app of some kind. I'd probably fail installing it. I'm so bad at. I don't know why Terminal just really like I found a video editor that would like cut out all the silences for you but you had to run it in Terminal and it took like, well, I couldn't find any instructions for Mac. So I was trying to like transpose the PC instructions to Mac and I couldn't quite get it. I I could get it to install and pop up and everything in terminal, but I couldn't get it to go. But let's see what Min has to say.
Algokit in it. That's all you got to do. Yeah, Min, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you talk to us a little bit about how we got to, why Python, because I think it sounds like, of course, reaching 10,000 or thousands of Python developers out there, but also I feel like there's some unique characteristics about Python that could really be interesting for how you think about developing.
Absolutely. So when we chose Python, we did it for a number of reasons. I mean, with all kind of major engineering decisions, it tends to be a mix or a cocktail of different reasonings. The rationale behind Python was essentially kind of threefold. The first, Algokit itself is written in Python.
Oh, I didn't know that. I did not know that. Yeah. That's cool.
And in software engineering generally, it's and by the way, we chose Python for Algokit because it's fast, powerful, and simple to write, simple to maintain. Things that you need, by the way, in your smart contracts. And
I think he said TypeScript is the next one. I know some people thought JavaScript. I thought JavaScript, but I think it's actually TypeScript is the next one. I know he said it somewhere. It might have been later on in this one.
So it's when you're building software, it's easier if you don't mix languages so much, and so we chose to stay with Python for that reason. A second reason is because it's quite literally one of the most popular languages in the world, alongside TypeScript, which we're going to bring later this year. And then I think finally, if I had to pick one further reason, it was a bit of a speculative bet, but we noticed how excited people were getting over ChatGPT 3.5 at the time. And we felt maybe, you know what, wouldn't it be great if we had a language that's encompassing everything from the students in high school, because they teach Python there because of its simplicity, all the way to the high-end kind of machine learning experts, data ML engineers, of which now, many, many people are going to university with an interest in this. Many, many people are naturally learning Python because of this industry that's booming. And so, yeah, I think it was the right choice in hindsight. But essentially, the most important characteristic was that it was a world-class language that was simple, easy to use, and very popular.
But the one thing I'm super excited about Python is actually the ability to bring in all these experienced developers, not just Web3, right? Like Web2 experienced developers. And if there's one thing about, blockchain, dApps, smart contracts, it's really the UI and the UX that we really need. We really need to work on. And I feel like these experienced Web2 developers can really bring that into our ecosystem, not just our Algorand ecosystem, but more broadly, the blockchain ecosystem. So I think there's also just like this tapping into the experience of these Python developers that I think is pretty exciting too.
Can I like that comment about 1,000 times? Like, that's what I've been talking about this whole time. My suspicion is that crypto attracted a lot of engineers, a lot of coding engineers who got really excited about, like, can we make this thing work? But I think they didn't tend to bring with them UX people who could say, like, hey, cool, it works, but like the average user comes here and has no idea what you're talking about. Hey, by the way, you need some documentation to explain this to people, or you need some kind of like little tutorial program or something. Like, a lot of that stuff is just missing in crypto. That's one of the reasons I like SWE so much, actually, because SWE has tended to really focus on that UX portion. They've tried to make things, think of like, how can we make this to be something that is usable by the average person? And I think what Min is saying here is really smart. I think it makes a big difference if you can have your programs actually usable. Because I think eventually you want this stuff to get to the outside world. Like, I think we talked about that stat when I did that reaction to the Meet Kevin video. One of the things that we saw Jerry Chu say, the CEO of Lofty, is that there a lot of the people, I think he said most of their users were not Algorand native, which I thought that blew me away. It doesn't surprise me though, because when I've talked about Lofty, first off, it's the one crypto project where I'm like, oh, the average person could kind of relate to this. Like, they know real estate, they know real estate investing, they know that's it. And also, it is set up so you don't have to have an Algorand wallet. You can use your own Lofty wallet there. And actually, there's some benefits to that. Right now, all the liquidity pools work if you have your token on the Lofty chain and not somewhere else. So, but it's interesting. I think it's one of the few chains that really work like that. And still, the UX definitely needs improvement. There's a lot of stuff that's just really poorly explained and not self-evident when you use the platform. So I think what Min is talking about here, 100%, 1000% agree. I hope what she says comes to fruition. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? By the way, I definitely recommend checking out the Verifiably Random show on Algorand. You can find it's on like Spotify and all the podcast platforms, and you can watch it on YouTube as well. The benefit there is like you can speed it up and you can clip things or whatever. You can actually see what they look like. I think that's fun sometimes. Let's see, did I have anything else I wanted to talk about? I don't know how long a stream this is going to be, but and by the way, we got a bunch of people watching, so if you guys want to hit that like button, I'd really appreciate that. As I always say, you don't have to smash it. You can just press it gently. It works just fine that way too. And you can subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. We're so close to 4,000. It'd be really awesome if we went over it today. In fact, let me see where we're at here. We are at 39.88. So we're only 12 away, guys. We could get there today. I think we could get there today. So give old BC a subscribe. Why not? It's fun. We're trying to do more shorts. Hopefully that will get people. Well, I'm just looking at comments. Some guy said, "Bro, real men have beard. Get it back." LOL. Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, someone said moving on to Algorand to RWA coins and AI. Well, Algorand kind of is an RWA coin, isn't it? I mean, you got Lofty on there. That's a real world asset platform all in itself. Anyway, yeah, we're really close, guys. So, meanwhile, I thought this one was kind of interesting. Oops, hold on. Oh, wait. I thought this was interesting. This is from MJ, Michael Jordan. He's definitely an Algorand person. It says breaking USDC sets TPS records in crypto space, averaging 6,000 transactions per second. Tests performed on Algorand, 0 failed transactions. Will mainstream crypto media cover this? No, but if you're an independent ethical journalist, there's so much algo news. Well, I cover a lot of algo news on here, and that's cool. Glad to see that. Tested on Algorand. Barb.algo's clicking people on here, trying to get people on. Hushgrowth Lover, Swiftzen. Hope you guys are paying attention. Algo's out here, getting real adoption. Travela Lavazza. Lavazza is the coffee, by the way. It uses. I've heard only one of their flavors uses the blockchain to record transactions or supply chains or something like that. I actually bought Lavazza. Oops, didn't want to click on that. I actually bought Lavazza coffee. It's really good. Beginning the Italian La Crema or something like that. It is really good, really tasty. I don't know about Travela, but TravelX, maybe that's what he meant to type. TravelX, that's a big deal. Oh no, here's TravelX. I didn't know about Travela. I haven't heard of that. Not to mention Hasab Pay, which is in Afghanistan. I think that's really big deal. There's something else from MJ. Says, see Algorand mentioned, delete it from Reddit. Amid algo news from articles, gatekeep stats, thank goodness a new generation builds using Python on Algorand that doesn't subscribe to Silicon Valley frat boy culture. Yes, Algorand equals a threat to blockchain everywhere it works. Interesting. According to this, this post was removed by the moderators of cryptocurrency. Wonder why that is. I don't know who LWKD that apparently is the person who posted this. Like, it seems to be implied that that's just done altogether. I don't know. I just don't. I don't find this narrative, and I love MJ. He's a great dude. He's a really great dude. To be clear, but I just don't. I never find this narrative very compelling. This idea that like people are suppressing Algorand for like what? What? Why would they? Why do they need to? They don't need to. There's so many coins. Like, are they just suppressing all these coins? Like, I just need like real like. But this is disturbing. Like, why would this be removed? Now, there might be other reasons why this was removed. I don't know if this had it said the post was removed, so I don't know if there was a link associated with it because here it doesn't look like there was one. Maybe they used a bad site or something. Well, this is not an argument I would make. Algo's on fire, whopping 29.6% price uptick in just 180 days. This is so far behind the market. That is not something to be happy about, especially considering how much it dropped. Like, we're just trying to catch up here. So this Thabiso Makosi, yeah, I wouldn't be too happy about that. Price action is definitely where you don't want to brag about Algorand. As we saw, like a year ago, it's up like 6%, where Solana is up 700%. Hedera was up over 100%. Even Ethereum was up 60%. Sorry, price is not where you want to like make a bragging point. Blockchain adoption faces challenges as many users seek short-term gains. Well, that's Algorand. That's crypto right now. Right now, crypto is like it's vibes and memes and seems to have nothing to do with anything rooted in the real world. As much as I try to believe otherwise, everything I've tested just comes out negative. So there's that one. Oh shoot. Got another one too here. Just give me a second. Oh yeah, something for our Hedera fans. Shoot. Give me a second here. Chat, you're kind of quiet today. Just saying. Yeah, something for our Hedera fans. Hashpack wallet pack token. BitGet listing announcement. Hashpack is proud to announce that pack will be listed on the BitGet Global this is BitGet cryptocurrency exchange on Wednesday, May 22nd. So this Wednesday, pack will be on there. This is the native token of Hashpack wallet. Also, big congratulations to our intergalactic friends, Saucer Swap Labs, who are listing Sauce on the same day. We have more exchange listings in the coming days, and we look forward to you all joining us for Pack token launch. Which, by the way, the Hashpack wallet is the one I use. I like it a lot, except the security measures make it kind of a pain to use when you first log into it, because you have to go back to your email and get a code from them, and that's pretty annoying. But that's where I keep a lot of my HBAR, and that's served me pretty well so far. And Saucer Swap Labs is pretty good too. In fact, they've had a really good run, and let me go dig that up for a second. They've had a really good. So you remember how I talked about ASAs and how they kind of suck? Well, Sauce has actually been doing pretty well. So it's down on the day. So let's not get too excited about that. But here's the yearly charts. So yeah, we had a big spike up and it was in the 20s and then it kind of came back down. Now we're on 11s here, but even over what the last month, even in the last month, it's up 17%. But over a year, what did we say? Oops, sorry, that was one day. Over a year, this has had the same performance as Solana, just about 600 versus 700 some percent. So yeah, Sauce has done really well. If you got in on Sauce, you did pretty well. And this is not the ASA curve, by the way. Why? I have no idea. Why is Sauce so much better? Because this is like the equivalent. This is the H bar equivalent of an ASA, and it's crushed it. And you could say the same with Osmosis. Osmosis is on here. It's usually pretty high up. Here's Osmosis. This is built on Cosmos. I'm a big fan of Cosmos because like you can just stake to a pool and get 13%, and the price action has been pretty decent during bull runs. Here's the 1 year on Osmosis, 36%. So not bad, not great. What's it look like all time? Oh, this is more typical ASA. In fact, I should probably evaluate Sauce. I did 1 year. I didn't do all time, but yeah, fair enough. You'd actually be down 83%. So this is looking a little more like the ASA curves. Actually, I can just go back. Hold on. Yeah, no. So all time, this is opposite. So Sauce did not follow this pattern. Let's see. We don't have any data about a max supply, so I don't really know. But there appears to be 743 million, so less than a billion in existence. Yeah, you can earn Sauce. I mean, a good way to earn Sauce is just to participate in Saucer Swap and put a pool together, and you'll earn in Sauce. And this one, if you earn in Sauce, look at all time 358 or 50, about 358. But on the year, it's actually higher. On the year, it's like 614% because it started kind of under the curve and then ended up above, which is it's pretty wild, really. I mean, good for Saucer Swap. Let's see. Just doing the watch now and see if we get up to 4,000. It'd be really cool if we got to 4,000 subscribers on stream. No, still 39.88. Oh, we got some comments. So let's see. Usually I have more comments too. Oh, so Jupiter I says, I've asked this question before, but never have I heard anyone talk about it in depth. The question is, if Silvio holds the patent on Algorand, does this mean some entity can buy it and privatize it? That's a good question. Well, he holds the patent, but you can actually the coding is open source, right? Because Voy is building its own network on the Algorand technology. So I think anyone can come and use that tech, right? Maybe there's something I'm missing. That'd be a good that might be a good question for John when he comes back on. Or even the new, well, I don't know if the marketing guy would be up to speed enough. Maybe. Jupiter I, by the way, welcome to the channel, Jupiter I. He says, unlike some of the other technologies, Algorand has this patent that puts a question for investors who may end up running things in the future. Like I said, I mean, in fact, not only is Voy running the Algorand technology using the AVM, but and there's probably a lot I don't understand there, to be fair. But actually, Algorand is supportive. I talked to John Allen Woods about it, and because I didn't know, I'm like, is this like a pain in their side? Is it like a thorn in their paw, so to speak, or are they cool with it? And actually, they're very cool with it. They're happy that Voy is doing what it's doing. I've tried to play around a little bit with Voy, but it's just hard for me to get into like a whole nother set of things to look at. It's hard enough to get into like some of these newer blockchains, and it's frankly it's hard enough to follow Algorand sometimes. There's so much going on, right? So to do that and then also like look at Voy and have to worry about someone sent me like someone's going to send me free NFTs, and then they're like, okay, you just have to do, and then it was like this big long instruction list. I'm like, dude, I don't have time for that. I got a full-time job. I run this YouTube channel and I have a newsletter. Like I don't have time for stuff like that. They're like, oh, well, the NFTs are going to run out. I'm like, well, they're going to run out then. Did I have something else? Let me see. Oh, actually, um, I just want to see if there's anything else interesting to talk about. I wasn't going to go real long today. I'm really just wanted to get that Solana video out. I guess we can look at this Justin Bonds post. So I've had some beef with Justin Bonds. One-sided. I don't think he knows I exist, and that's fine. But he's always like, it's this weird thing I see with some of these creators where they'll tear apart other coins for some of the stuff that they're doing, but then when it comes to Solana, they just have a blind spot, or they make all these excuses for Solana. I don't really understand it. Let's see what he says. He goes, the top 50 blockchains by market cap, rated on scalability, governance, decentralization, and token distribution. So Algorand is not on here, which I think is interesting. It's by scalability. Well, I would think Algorand would be pretty high up there. Governance, decentralization, I guess. Token distribution, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of people make super compelling cases for token distribution, but I don't really understand it. Well, first off, what is X? Okay, let's see what he says. Any chain that can exceed 1,000 TPS of theoretical max capacity gets a check mark. Okay, so Algorand should be on there, right? They should have hit this one, right? Governance, any chain that has a fully implemented on-chain governance that gets a check mark. Plans and half implemented systems do not count. But like, what does that mean exactly? Full isn't, what does fully implemented mean? For the sake of fairness, out of the chains that failed this check, 3 are still seriously pursuing on-chain governance as their sole ADA, ADA, and AVEX. But I don't know what fully implemented means. Like, do you want every single decision that's made on the blockchain made through governance? Is that what you're talking about? I mean, I think you really need to define terms here, but especially since you are defining terms, that would be a lot more like, I don't know, is Algorand count or not? Because it seems weird to say like fully. Well, what does fully mean? There's so many different ways you could take that. Like, how much is appropriate? And do we want? Is that a good thing? Like I've said this all along. Like, I don't know anything. I don't know nearly enough about the technical side of a blockchain to make decisions for that. And I think I know a little bit more than the average person. So you're going to have all these people that have no idea what they're doing, making all these like really fundamental changes. Like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So this is why like governance should be for like certain things, I think, but I don't think full governance or full decentralization is necessarily a good thing. And also, aren't these kind of like interconnected? Like, isn't governance part of decentralization? Essentially, this is decentralization. This is far too complex to measure so simply. So in this case, I went with the lowest possible bar, permissionlessness. Now that's fair. I think that's actually a good bar, because you know, one of my big problems with Gala is like there's so much gatekeeping on Gala. You know, one thing I thought was really funny. So I made this Gala video. Uh, really, I really took it to Gala, and then the price went up a little bit, and everyone's like, "Oh, this aged well, huh?" Or someone was like, "Oh, didn't you lose like a bunch of money because they assumed I sold it all?" I'm like, "No, I've got like a ton of Gala on Gala's centralized system, and guess what? All of a sudden, it doesn't work, and I can't get anything off of it." The password, which I made note of, that worked before, suddenly doesn't for no reason, and I can't get it. I got a bunch of Gala that I won from playing Townstar, and I can't get it off. It's stuck there, so it does me zero good. So when you say like permissionlessness, yeah, that's a problem. So I agree with that one. Token distribution. Went with another simple metric here. Any chain that has less than 50% of the supply owned and controlled by the founders gets a pass. So let's see. People have told me they thought SWI had bad tokenomics, but that would be pretty good under this. So Algorand would hit this one too. What one was Algorand hit? It would definitely hit decentralization. So it would be 3 out of 4, I would say. Maybe 3.5 out of 4. Maybe 3. Maybe 4. It depends on whether you count that as fully implemented, because they're changing it all the time. You know, I can't even. Oh, here we go. So conclusion, nothing is perfect or unique. As you can see from this list, not a single chain passed all the checks or stood on its own in a single category. This definitely makes some of the quasi-religious tribalism in the space all the more insane. Well, I agree with that. This is why I take a pluralist approach, but never exclusively aligning myself to a single blockchain ecosystem. Yeah, except kind of Solana that you constantly make apologies for. But besides that, fair enough. Yeah, this drives me nuts because like, well, I made a video about, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about how Algorand was better than Solana at this one thing. And someone commented and they're like, yeah, that's a great way to, that's done really well to improve adoption for Algorand. And I said like, well, what? I'm sorry, when did I say that my stated goal was to increase adoption for Algorand? And the person was just flabbergasted. They couldn't like respond. And I'm like, yeah, that's not my point here. When I talk about Algorand and I talk about the good qualities of it, it's because I see the good qualities of it. I also talk about the bad qualities of it. I talk about the fact that its price action sucks and has sucked. I talk about that it was a completely botched launch. Okay. My goal is not to increase adoption of Algorand. It's to bring you the truth as I see it about crypto. Okay. So when I talk about this stuff, like, yeah, I'm coming from a place of wanting to understand this myself. Because one thing that's always baffled me from day one is I see this coin Algorand, this blockchain, and I've been using it. I've been using it the whole time, and I think, well, this actually works. When I tried to do stuff on Ethereum, it'd be like, you know, it just seemed like super bad. I don't know how else to put it. So cumbersome to try to do anything on Ethereum. It's such a pain in the butt. And when I bought my Townstar NFT, you know, I had to use the Ethereum blockchain, and when I bought the NFT, I bought it, packed up my stuff, drove to Jiu-Jitsu, did Jiu-Jitsu, drove back, and like 10 minutes later after I got back, which by the way, it's like my Jiu-Jitsu class is like a half hour away. By the time I got back, so this is like hours later, it finally like went through. That would have been seconds on Algorand. So yes, I think it's weird that it's not on this list. As much as like AVAX would be. I mean, so yeah, nothing got 4. Atom didn't do so well on scalability. It is a little expensive. I can see that. SWI is definitely scalable. It's definitely is it fully governance? I like SWI a lot, but is it in token distribution? Yeah, that's what I was saying, that it should match that. Oh no, token distribution it doesn't like, but it's less than 50% that go to the founders or VCs. Unless they're just talking about release, like it's not released yet. Is that what you mean? Maybe. But that's just a matter of time. Like when I see people say the tokenomics are bad, well, you just mean that it's not far enough along that you trust it or something. Like that's a different thing. Like obviously it's a new coin, so it's going to take a while for all the coins to come out. But people say, well, oh, there's barely any supply released yet. It's like, yeah, well, it's brand new. It's been out for like a year. Disclosure Crypto says, haven't you heard about Gary Network? No, I haven't heard about Gary Network, and I don't really use much on Solana, so I don't do a lot in the Solana ecosystem. But I'm like really not that interested in a Web3 streaming platform. Hey, we got another subscriber. 11 away, guys. We're 11 away. Can we get to 4,000? Probably not, because I'm probably going to wrap up soon. Yeah, what did someone try to get me into? God. Oh, Warpcast. Someone was trying to get me into Warpcast when I was talking about how much I hate Twitter. Not that I think it's, by the way, just to be clear, I don't think it's like Elon's fault. I just think there's something about Twitter that makes people go crazy. I know this might be fun. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Let's try to get those subscribers up to 4,000. I want to hit it today. I want to hit it, but let's look at this. Hey, Catlin Guzman, welcome to the show. Glad to see you here. Road Last says your Gala might not work because of the fork that Gala had. They had a short time limit to migrate your old Gala to the new Gala. Yes, that is true. However, it was the new Gala. It was the Gala. It was the Gala that I had won pretty recently playing Townstar. Oh yeah, by the way, another thing that didn't work is the town coin that they got rid of. Like you were supposed to be able to migrate that. For months I tried it and it would never work. I could not get it to work. It was so frustrating. It was just one of the most frustrating things. Like their platform just sucks. And they're gonna have to face the fact that their platform just sucks. Oh, I think I figured out why it's got the little I see your icons have a little YouTube subscriber thing in my interface, because that means you're coming from YouTube, because you can stream to other platforms, which I want to like start doing. I actually do have a Rumble, believe it or not. Maybe that'll get my video tanked. I don't know. Just in case, you never know. Some of these platforms, they'll be like, oh, we don't like that thing you did, so we're gonna remove you. So just in case. Oh, someone unsubscribed to me. Well, I don't know if we're gonna hit 4,000 today, guys, but we can look at some cool stuff. So yeah, I had some real problems with Gala for a lot of reasons, but that's why it's better with this stuff isn't permission. It isn't permission. Like you want it to be permissionless instead of like having this like walled-in ecosystem that But this is one of my criticisms of Web3 gaming too. It's like, yeah, you can own the asset, but the company can like decide to nerf it in the game, and like it does you no good. So what's the difference? Okay, I thought this was I haven't looked at this actually. I have no idea if this is interesting or not. But this is from Miles Dutcher. He has some interesting stuff here. Once in a while, he says there was a lot of valuable crypto alpha posted on X this week, but it can be tricky to find amidst all the noise. I compiled the top 10 alpha tweets I read this week, so you don't have to. Why there's so much disagreement as to where we are in the cycle. Tweet of the week, in my opinion. Let's see what he says. Part of the reason there's so much disagreement regarding where we are cyclically is because returns have been so unevenly distributed. That's true. Additionally, a lot of the previous cycle signposts has been absent or entirely invalid. The conventional risk curve trade of BTC, ETH, large caps, mid caps, SRs has been unprofitable. Barbell portfolio BTC plus memes has dominated. ETH Bitcoin has been remarkably weak, whereas historically it has benefited from a risk-on environment. This has spilled over into ETH L1, L2 proxy trades being suboptimal, Crypto as a casino thesis has been captured by meme coins on Sol versus previous cycles. Casino was NFTs on ETH. Yeah, I could see that. I haven't been following these meme coins on Sol too much, but I'm like at least proximally aware of it. Meme coins have been consistently leading. That's what I've been saying, guys. Don't underestimate the meme coins. Yes, they're stupid and they seem to pump where others don't. Why? I don't know. Meme coins have been consistently leading, and rotating from that sector has been costly, whereas memes pumping has historically been an indicator of being late in the cycle. Bitcoin hasn't offered a series of previously standard bull market pullbacks of 30-40%. This has created a bunch of early sellers, sideline traders. Also led to a proliferation of left truncated cycle discourse, shorter cycle, super cycle, and other heterodox variants. I don't really know what that left truncated cycle discourse. I don't know what that means. They're saying like the left has been destroying. Is he talking from a partisan perspective? I'm not sure what he means by that. There are so many new tokens amplified by meme coins that crypto bull market no longer means everything that's listed goes up for weeks, months. The rising tide has not lifted all boats, and there are very clear winners versus losers. Agreed. And they've broadly stayed the same. No massive rotations. ETH Eco L1 plus L2 trade been weak relative to Sol for ages, with exceptions. Taking all this into account, it's entirely plausible that you have trader A who rode BTC, Sol, and other memes and feels like stuff is hot and needs to cool off, whereas trader B has barely made any money and feels like stuff hasn't picked up yet. That would be us Algorand folks, right? I laugh because it hurts. Everything in between. We all have different portfolios, trading styles, time horizons, risk appetite, volatility, tolerance, and a bunch of other stuff. Most of crypto Twitter thinks crypto will go up and to the right over time. We just agree about the fine print. Be kind and chill out. Actually, I think a really good point to all this is diversification. I really cringe when I hear people have all their stuff in one coin. I heard a statistic that really brought this home. You can decrease 80% of the downside risk of your investment by diversifying with 12 or more assets. 80%. And that's not necessarily, that's just in general, not necessarily just crypto. So like, in other words, buying 12 stocks, that diversification decreases your potential downside by 80%. Or I shouldn't say potential downside, because the potential is always 100%, right? But it decreases the general, your average downside, I think is what they said. I should clarify that. Yeah, he's got some other ones. Why AI is this cycle's crypto gaming. Some valuable insights on the low float, high FDV predicament. I don't know what that means. Lessons learned from meme coin traders to the opposite. Meme coin traders are, let's see what he says. Let's evaluate. Meme coin traders are the most emotional traders in any market. Here's why. They ate 50% of their port in every play. They never sell. Yeah, definitely gonna sell. They get swayed by their favorite influencer's opinion. Sorry. I feel a little funny reading that one, but I don't really tell you guys to go buy stuff, to be fair. Their decision-making is often based on FOMO. True. They form emotional attachments to specific coins. I've been telling you guys, don't do that. That whole point I just made, about how like my goal isn't to increase adoption of Algorand or Hedera or anything. Like my job is just to cover this stuff and try to like figure it out. And I think a lot of the big crypto YouTubers that I see, like I don't see anyone that like I think has really figured it out. Other than like when they give you the basics, like, you know, diversify, and when you're in profit, like Crypto Wendio talks about this. She talks about when you're up, you start taking some profit and lock, that prevents losses. If I'm up 100%, so say I buy, well, right now I am at 50% up or 100% up on Bitcoin, right? So I've locked some wins in, In fact, my near right now, I have a moonbag position on near. If I went to zero tomorrow, I'd be in the profit. That's important. So when they say they never sell, yeah, you absolutely should sell. They act impulsively. They hold on to losing positions, hoping that prices will recover. And that kind of depends. That actually kind of depends on timing. But I see a lot of people, speaking of acting impulsively and FOMO, I see a lot of people aping in when coins are like at all-time highs. That is like, you shouldn't be touching them at that point. If you didn't already buy in, you missed it. Okay. They often have a herd mentality, following the crowd rather than their own analysis. Probably true. Some of these, it depends if you mean short term or long term, though, right? Because I think there's some coins like there's definitely it's definitely a legit strategy. If you were just going to say buy Bitcoin and hold on to it for like 10 years, you're just not going to touch it. You'll be up overall. You'll be up, you'll be down, but over the long run, you'll be up. So you shouldn't do that with like meme coins because they could be gone tomorrow, right? Oh, this guy used TA, so like I immediately don't like you. I'm sure he's fine. FTM thesis. Reminder that sometimes the best trade is no trade. You don't always have to be in a trade. Best trade of the past month plus was likely no trade for most people. Fair. A narrative mindset now versus start of the year. I don't know. What's the chart though? Like, what does this mean? What are these percentages? Is this like percentage of your portfolio where you think it should be? I kind of get the sense that that's what that is. So people are more bullish on AI, more bullish on meme, a little less on DeFi, a little less on ETF, I think. Or is that just the narrative? I don't know what that means. Does he say more? Let me see. What are the numbers from? And it's a measure of social dominance of the narrative. Okay, so there's doing some kind of social graphing, it sounds like. Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to share something like this, you got to explain it. It's just one of my little pet peeves when people don't, they just share something like this that is definitely not self-apparent what this means. And then they do nothing to explain it. How to potentially profit from the AI trade this month. Good overview of the top coins. I guess we can look at that. Oh, Catlin says Sauce Inu is up heavy this week. We actually looked at Sauce earlier. My premise was that it's one of the few, unlike most ASAs, the Sauce did not follow the ASA curve. I know it's not an ASA, it's on Hedera, but I'm just saying, like, because even Osmosis kind of had that same curve. So I thought it was interesting. Okay. How to profit from AI coins this month. I'll cover AI Catalyst, my tokens affected by the Catalyst, my personal picks. Dive in for real alpha, spelled with an F. NVIDIA earnings on May 22nd. ChatGPT 4 Omni announcement May 13th, which is awesome. But I don't know if you guys heard, for anyone who didn't hear me before, like I tested out ChatGPT 4.0 because it lets you briefly check it out. It's unbelievable. Not only did it print my data. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to get water. Just give me a few seconds, huh? Okay, I'm back. Also, the Google I/O conference on May 14th, Apple focus on AI at WWDC, and ChatGPT 4 launch at the end of June, maybe. Does he mean 5? Isn't 4 already out? Or is it like, I don't understand what that means. Anyway, the tokens he's talking about are Wild, main proxy for OpenAI due to association with Sam Altman. Oh, this is WorldCoin. Yeah, okay. Olus, 2023 favorite AI agent coin that has since kind of disappeared, although they're very active on Gnosis chain. Spec and FET, Ajax, Ocean, and ASA. These coins are very richly valued now. They aren't leading AI runs anymore, which makes me believe upside is capped for now. Now his picks is Render. I think Render is really interesting. Render is one of the easiest longs heading into NVIDIA-related news, and then Apple News also outperformed Bitcoin massively over the last year. NVIDIA due to comparisons of GPU networks, and Apple due to rendering software they have built that Apple always features at different keynotes. Hence, I think it would be a good swing trade leading up to WWDC time period. By the way, Render is like the coin for this company that allows you to rent out space on your GPU or rent out compute power on your GPU, so you can make money with your GPU while it's not in operation. I think it's a great idea. So when I build my new PC stack, I might play around with that a little bit. AR fully diluted coin pivoted to AI with the launch of AO Computer. Chad team. Chad team. Is this like red pill now or what? Tier 1 exchange listings, a no-brainer medium-term hold, biggest AI coin holding currently. And then Near Protocol. I love Near Protocol. I heard some not so good stuff about it lately, but it's like pumping again. I won't reiterate it. Smaller position they are due to more limited upside, but could become one of the consensus AI trades of this cycle due to its brand value, good liquidity, and innovations over in other sectors such as chain abstraction. Do I still have? Yes, I do. Hold on a second. Let me just pull this up. Because for whatever reason, I didn't look at Near. As you know, that'll just take a second to load. So over a year, it is up 371%. So not as good as Solana, but it's done pretty well. Now, a lot of mine I bought kind of around here. I think it's like 114 or 121, somewhere around there. So yeah, my near bag has done really, really well. I just wish I'd put more into it, but that's always the case, isn't it? But does he really say? Is Near really an AI coin? I didn't really know much about that. I don't remember that being the case. Yeah, Near Protocol is a layer 1 blockchain that was designed as a community-run cloud computing platform. Oh, okay. And that eliminates some of the limitations that have been bogging competing blockchains, such as low transaction speeds, low throughput, and poor interoperability. So probably the community-run cloud computing platform. That's probably what he's talking about. Interesting. TLDR, focus on AI coins during this period, a big catalyst. Avoid coins with predatory tokenomics and inflated FTVs. Focus on quality projects with good teams, sustainable tokenomics, and working product. Of course, none of this is financial advice. Yeah. I just want to see how people reacted here. This is an incredible thesis. Whoa. Seems like an odd 0.8, do you mean Chat GPT 5? Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like 4's been out a long time. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Were there any other interesting ones? Catalyst cheat sheet. Parabola phase of the bull market beginning. Some hopium to cap off your week. All right, let's take a look at this. 2013, 2017, 2024. Is this where we are in 2024? I don't know. Well, let's hope, right? We all hope. Oh boy. Overfresh says Solana is just terrible and no crypto is better than Algorand. Yep, except for price, right? And that sucks. By the way, Overfresh, welcome to the show. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Solana. I do not love Solana. Philip Riley says facts. Yeah, I mean the thing is like Solana, for some reason it pumps in price. Why? I don't know. We just showed like the whole supply chain or the whole supply inflation seems to have nothing to do with price. It's just completely uncorrelated. Otherwise, we'd see some overlap, right? Refresh is true. I'm assuming you're talking about the price thing. I'm not saying it makes sense. Crypto doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes. The best I can tell, and this is, I think I can say this safely without, feeling like I'm giving some kind of weird cash is trash. Yeah, stupid cash. Paper's so dumb, guys. It's the worst. As best I can tell, your best bet is like have a good pool of cryptocurrencies. Some of them will do bad, some of them will do good. Overall, you'll be up and enjoy your gains from there. But if you put too much in one basket, I mean that just tends to be a recipe for disaster from what I've seen. I've just not seen that going well, if you put all your money in Solana a year ago, you'd probably do pretty well. But if you did an Algorand, you'd be up 6%. I guess that's not bad. It's something, but you could have put it on a money account and got like 5%. So I don't know. Or Near, you've done really well in Near. Even Sui, I think you do pretty well. And then some like Matic was a disaster. XRP was a disaster. That surprised me. XRP had such a strong community and it's so high up in the market cap. I don't think even Cardano did very well. Actually, let me see. Yeah, I'll share this. Hold on. Cardano was one of the ones that was identified as a zombie chain. When you look at the transaction, like the daily transaction volume, I kind of get it. Yeah, I mean, it'd only be up like 27%. It's not horrible. I mean, God, this is the thing with crypto. Like our perspective is really warped. We'll be like 27% and be like, pshaw, that's nothing. Pennies, I say, pennies. 27% in like the traditional finance market would be incredible. However, what you got to remember, of course, is that you're not getting this every year. Solana Near was up 300% in this time period, and Solana was up like 700% in that 1 year period. So, and Algorand was only up 5% or 6%. So, yeah, I think that's interesting. All right, let's go back. Oops, did that not go? Am I stuck? Oh, here we go. Jeezy, welcome to the show, Jeezy. Jeezy Weezy, is that how you say it? So what is holding Algo back? That's a really good question. And Philip has my sentiment. I wish we had an answer. Yeah. It seems like the coins that do the most like real world stuff just don't perform on terms of price. Why? I have no idea. I really don't. It's very, very strange to me. I've been trying to figure this out. I've been trying to look for correlations or, patterns that make sense, and I can't find them. Well, that's the question we're trying to understand. I've been trying to understand that question for I don't know how long. And I don't know what it is. I really don't. It's more confusing. The more I dive into this stuff, the more confusing it is. And sometimes I say, like, well, at some point you have to like say, well, regardless of the reasons, at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? Solana is going to pump. So maybe you should put a little money in Solana, you know? Algorand like works. So for stuff you actually want to do or you want to use, you want to, you want to actually do stuff with. I think Algorand's great. So that's what I use it for. But I don't like hold a lot of. I've shown you guys, like, I don't really hold a lot of loose Algorand. Most of my stuff is put to work in DeFi and other stuff. So because it's really easy to use, Lofty, like I can't imagine doing Lofty on Solana or Ethereum. Oh my God, it'd be a nightmare on Ethereum. You just can't do it. So that's why Algorand's useful. Maybe, some of it maybe is just the market maturing. Like it still needs to mature. I mean, you think about even like early 2000s, I think we take for granted how useful the internet is and how much of a part of our lives it is now. But once upon a time, it was still considered a toy or a plaything, even in the early 2000s. I mean, I know you had the, especially post crypto or, oh, thanks, Jeezy. Appreciate that. Even in the post .com crash, I had to think of the .com term. Even in that crash, people just thought like it was kind of, that crypto or that the internet just wasn't going to be that big a deal, that it was kind of like an extra thing. You chat with your friends a little bit. I mean, you didn't even have like social media yet. We're still Web 1 back then, right? And a lot of people didn't like trust. There was still a lot of mistrust for like buying things on the internet. But that changed a lot in another 10 years. After that, it was pretty ubiquitous. So it's possible that we're just not there yet. I think that's very, very possible. Overfresh says there's a conspiracy against Algo because with Algo there is no need for ETH.XRP. Yeah, but you could say that with like Hedera too. So is there a conspiracy against Hedera, or why isn't there a conspiracy against XRP, right? Like I just don't find a lot of these arguments very convincing, especially without evidence. Riley says I came from SHIB and the tech and gas fees were enough to stay. Yeah, fair enough. I actually own a little bit of SHIB. I've made money off of SHIB. So the way I think about this stuff is I think there's utility and then there's price, right? So stuff like Algorand is very useful. I can actually use it for things. I can do stuff. Lofty is a great example I keep going back to. You see stuff like Hasab Pay where it's actually being used as like a PayPal type platform in Afghanistan. The Care wallet that the Red Cross is using, that's like an emergency wallet for people who have gone through disasters. That's built on Algorand. I mean, it's a good utility, but if you're thinking in terms of pure price, I own Solana, I make money on Solana. I don't use it for anything, but the price is what it is. Near, same thing with Near. And actually, I think Near had a pretty cool ecosystem for a little while there. I actually like the way it was set up, even though it was kind of centralized, because it was like you had your wallet and your wallet just kind of led you the same site that was your wallet was also kind of like the ecosystem map. So you could see the games that were on it, the NFTs, DeFi. It was kind of all in one place. I thought that was like a cool idea and kind of set it apart. But then they got rid of that. So yeah, Philip says SHIB definitely was good for some spare money. I still got a little bit. of SHIB. Waiting for it to go up. Oh, well, Philip says the community was way too wild to leave money in. I have to admit, Algo seems much more professional. I agree with that. Although, to be fair, like I never really looked at the Shiba Inu community very much, or like Dogecoin or any of that. I think I have some Dogecoin too, not very much. Yeah, in fact, I have what I have of Shiba Inu is a moon bag. So if it ever goes up a bunch, I'll probably sell a little off and make a few bucks. But it's kind of chump change, to be honest, what I got in Shiba. But it was very instructive of the power of making sure you're taking profits when you're up. Got to lock in those profits, man. There's one piece of advice I think I would impart to people. It's lock in the profits. Overstress says, it is. The projects on Algorand are amazing. By the way, thank you for introducing me to Fractal Monsters. I love the game. Well, I appreciate that. I actually heard from the Fractal team. They said that people are citing me as the reason they came over. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think it's a cool game. And I like what they're doing. And I was actually a little bit critical of it at first. In fact, we kind of made some videos back and forth, me and Dev Fracas. And I think it was done in good fun. But yeah, they're doing pretty good. Apparently, they're going to copy paste Polygon. You're talking about Shiba now? That's interesting. All right, guys. Well, my voice is giving out. I guess that's the end of my my talking ability today. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for everyone who's subscribed and hit the like button. And if you haven't already, I'd love it if you'd go ahead and do that. Like I said, you don't have to smash it. You can just press it gently. And big shout out to our sponsors, Non-Fungible Domains. So if you want that .algo address, instead of all those fancy letters and crazy letters and numbers that are really hard to memorize, that's a good example. And I've got a link below in the description for you to go check that out. Also brought to you by Fractal Monsters, as Overfresh just mentioned. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's a play-to-earn game on the Algorand blockchain. It works really well. It's really fun to play. It's kind of a Tamagotchi meets Pokemon, maybe with a little Smash Brothers thrown in there, some exploring, maybe a little Mario Brothers or Mario 2. Kind of seems a little Mario 2-like, doesn't it? A little bit, the scrolling thing. So link for that in the description below. I don't know if they still have the free monster, but they did have the free monster for a while that you could actually get, so you didn't even have to buy one. And you don't have to be on Algorand, just like Lofty. You actually don't have to be an Algorand user to play it. So big shout out to those guys, and thanks so much for watching. And as always, we'll see you in the future.